Back live in the garage, episode 4. My name is DJ Kool-Aid, and I'm live in my granny's garage right now. And today I have the pleasure of introducing a great friend of mine, a young lady that I absolutely adore. I don't know what she does for work, because she has a lot of titles and she just pops up everywhere. She has all the corporate events, all the political information that you guys need. Introducing none other than Miss Theresa Kennedy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hello, DJ Kool-Aid, and thank you so much for inviting me to your granny's garage.
you see everybody's clapping for you right now, right?
I hear them. Thank you all.
Man, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Man, I want you to introduce yourself again and just tell me a little about your background and the things that you do here in the community.
Okay, wonderful. So again, I'm Theresa Kennedy. I'm born and raised in Moss Point. I went to Alcorn State University.
Oh, that's cool.
I had to mention that. I'm always going to mention that. So yes, Alcorn State University, proud graduate. I later went on to start my career actually in agriculture. And from there, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. But all the time I had this entrepreneurial bug itching. Itch, I guess I should call it. And so I always knew I wanted to start my own business. So back in 2011, started Red August, which was an online e-commerce site. This was long before what you see now on social media, how people are really making good money, not only being influencers, but also in the e-commerce world. Went on from that, developed a huge love for marketing and communications and public relations. So that was the beginning in 2014 of me getting into work around that. Also managing campaigns. I've been doing that since 2008. And so it has really been beneficial and really helped with how I've arrived at this point now.
So you still work at the black building on the corner with no windows?
No, I don't even know that building name. What building is that?
Yeah, I have no clue. So, man, can you share some personal experiences about, just the things that you're passionate about and this e-commerce, being an influencer, being a campaign manager? Can you just share a few things with me?
Yes. So a few things I'm very passionate about. Obviously, family. I grew up in a house with 3 other brothers, both parents, and now I'm just like a super aunt. So I'm very proud of that. Another thing I'm proud of is being a Mississippian. People get asked me all the time, why am I here? Why am I still here? I just want to be part of the change that I want to see in Mississippi. And so I'm starting to see that after all this time.
Uh-huh.
I'm starting to see that. I did move away for a little while, came back, but it's happening. It's slowly happening, but it's happening. So I'm passionate about the change that I want to see here in Mississippi. And then I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. I've been doing this for quite some time. I've met a lot of great people in this world, this space, other entrepreneurs, other business owners. I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of nonprofits in this work that I do. And so all of that together is the reason why I'm still here in Mississippi and why I'm still wanting to see us move the needle and make Mississippi a place for everyone, for all, not just certain people.
So being here in Mississippi, what challenges have you faced in this journey, and how did you overcome them?
Ooh, several. So, I think about my childhood, right? So I looking back over a lot of pictures from when I was younger, I realized that I was always the only black girl, either on the soccer team and the Girl Scout troop. And
Tennis?
yeah, tennis. Well, I didn't play tennis in high school. I played tennis in college.
Okay.
So I'm a SWAC champion. Yeah, I got a ring. So anyway, so I look back at those photos, and then I think about even fast forward into starting my first ever gainful employed job, right? It was in the farm credit system. I was only black there.
Wow.
It was very challenging.
Oh, wow.
They paid me good money. So I sucked it all up for a little while, but it was hard pretending to be working for the first year. And I realized they were bringing in these young white boys in and training them and getting them out the door. And I was just chilling. And, I started asking questions. And those questions ultimately led to my demise there. Yeah. But, those were challenges I learned from. I learned one thing I did learn from that whole experience, though, to ask for what I want.
Correct.
Oftentimes, especially women don't ask for the salary they want. I did. And it was a man that told me that. A man told me, a black man actually. He was like, hey, they're going to offer you this, do this. I was like, what? I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to work. Like, my parents pay half my bills. Anyway, from that, though, it was an experience. And every single job I ever had, that's what I've always did, negotiated. Another challenge here is just being a woman sometimes in the space. And it's not even just, well, I'll speak for my own challenges. I've had challenges working with other black women.
Oh, wow.
Older black women, right? So they may have blazed the trail, and I salute to all of them, but these aren't the women I'm talking about. I'm talking about those women that are just trifling. There was this one particular woman that I say, and I won't say women, I just say woman. There was this one particular woman that I worked with, and she was just what I thought was like what I ultimately wanted to be and the positions I wanted to do. I meant be in and do the same things, but everything that shines ain't gold, or everything that glitter ain't gold, as my dad tells me. And so from that, that experience taught me one, when somebody show you themselves, believe them.
Yeah.
And, you may have a conversation with this person, but always follow up in an email in black and white.
Boy, you better have a paper trail.
Have a paper trail. I learned that the hard way. And so from that, that experience just taught me that, just got to be mindful. And I always have one thing I always pray about is a spirit of discernment. I want to know, I want to see the snake before it bite me.
Right.
And so, so those are two things. And then, just being in Mississippi, it's a lot of stuff that's really real.
It's very challenging here. Very challenging.
Yes. And it's real. And it ain't even just Mississippi. I know racism and all of that exists in other areas. But Mississippi is a burgundy red state. And when I say that, I mean from all these statewide offices, these guys hold some, and even women hold some very powerful positions. And they're all Republicans, and they all believe a certain thing. And they don't always vote their best interest. They vote what the party wants them to vote, because they want to protect their position, right? And so it's a hard thing, because you look at even, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but I want to highlight this one particular point while I'm mentioning that. I look at our Attorney General, right? She's a woman, right?
Yes.
Children and all of that. She was leading the effort on repealing Roe v. Wade, which was a law that had been in effect over 60 years.
Forever.
Yeah, 60 years. And now women in Mississippi cannot access an abortion. And don't get me wrong, Roe v. Wade was more than about abortions, but one of the biggest components, which was very much highlighted during that whole thing, was the access to abortions, or they're saying abortions. But really, it was so much bigger than that, right? And women now have to take other measures for whatever reason, right? Because I know married women that's had abortions. I know single women. I know women who are careful that's had abortions. It's all kinds of reasons why women do. But it's not about that. It's about just the access. Women want be able to choose for themselves. Taking that away from us is just mind-blowing to know that a woman led an effort like that.
Man, and if it wasn't for abortions, I would have 10 kids.
Oh, my God.
Hey, man, what advice would you give somebody new that's starting out in your field, in your line of business?
So communications. Oh, there's so much out there to do. I would say, so I started out really sweat equity, right? My first pay wasn't the money. It was me working, one, for myself, then two, working for others. But just understanding that, one, you ain't finna get the big money right away.
No, you're not.
I mean, it's really going to be, you may have to give some sweat to it. And that's what sweat equity is. You started out your garage, your grandmama's garage, right?
Still in here.
Wasn't nobody paying you.
Still nobody's paying me right now.
Right now. You on your way.
I am.
But it's all a process, right?
Yes.
And a lot of these young folks want microwave. They want
instant gratification.
Instant gratification. They want it. They want followers. They want the money. They want all of that, but they don't want to do the work.
Lifestyle. They don't want to do the work.
They don't want to do the work. And it's so much work to it.
It's a lot of work to it.
I mean, I know you could talk about that for days.
Man, for days. Yeah. What's a fun fact about yourself that no one may know?
A fun fact.
Don't say you went to Auckland. We already know that.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say I have a twin brother.
Oh, man.
You didn't. Certainly, you knew that. You knew that, right?
Well, I think
I don't know. Most people are surprised that I'm a twin. Actually, I just left brunch with some people, and one of them, I mentioned being a twin, and everybody at the table looked at me like, "What?" I was like, "Wait, y'all didn't know?" But I mean, I'm finding out. I guess I don't talk enough about it, but yeah, I have a twin brother, born on the same day, same mom,
Oh, wow.
same time. And so yeah, I'm very proud of him and what he's done, and I'm just looking forward to our future, growing old together as twins.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. So, today we're speaking on some important issues here in the capital city and the state of Mississippi. So, go ahead and kind of let's get into why we're here today.
Right. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is just voting. Mississippi has an election every single year.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yes.
So we just wrapped up presidential elections,
Yeah.
some congressional seat elections.
Correct.
We also wrapped up, I think there was elected election commissioner offices that were up for grabs, and even some judgeships. So we just lost a really, really important seat in the Mississippi Supreme Court this last election. Jim Kitchens had been a Supreme Court justice for a number of years, but he was challenged by this young white woman from Madison County, Jennifer Brandon. And I know a lot of people don't think judicial elections are important, but they're so
very
important. So like our national Supreme Court, now our Mississippi Supreme Court is heavily dominated by conservatives. And, you know, it's a big deal if you should have a case and it get, you know, appealed, or I mean, whatever the case, you find yourself up in Supreme Court and there's some issues. Yeah. You want to know that there's at least one judge, you know what I'm saying, that
may side with you or kind of see your way.
That's right. Because he or she may be able to persuade others, right?
Correct.
But at the same time, now we don't have that. And so we've lost that leverage. So this year is a very important year, too, for elections. We have municipal court elections. I mean, not municipal court, municipal elections, which is local elections.
Okay.
So this year, mayor, this year, city council,
yes.
Your board of aldermen. These are very important elections. And, you know, a lot of people get themselves really upset. These elections tend to make a lot of people upset.
Yeah, especially locally.
Especially here in Jackson, right?
Yes.
We want to bring it on home. I think the last local election we had for mayor had like 13 candidates in it, right?
Wow.
And then it ended up, obviously it narrows itself down.
Correct.
But these are important elections. And I guess because people know these people. Yeah. You know, they know where they live. They know their family. They know their cousins. They grew up with them. They may have gone to college with them or something like that. Work with them over some period of time. So it's a very sensitive time. And so, I mean, these people decide things about us every single day. And they get to appoint people to certain positions and things of that nature. So it's very important that we know what's at stake, not just here. I'm not even just talking about Jackson. I'm talking all over Mississippi.
Yeah, the Delta, the coast.
Absolutely.
Golden Triangle.
That's right. Pine Belt.
Yep.
All of those areas. You know, there are probably like 3 or 4 cities in Mississippi, though, they're under a different charter. So they will not have a local election.
What city are those?
One is, I believe, Greenville. Up in the Mississippi Delta.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly cities along the Mississippi River. And then so that has to do with, obviously, around when we were formed, this state came in existence. I won't get into all of that, but they have special charters just because they were created long before a lot of these other places were created.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so, we got local elections happening. And you can actually register, you know, if you want to run for office, you can sign up now up until January 31st.
Wow. So, you know any of the candidates that are actually running this year?
Yeah, I saw some signs on my way here.
Yeah,
Several. I imagine the mayor here in the city of Jackson is going to be up for re-election.
Yes.
Typically, the incumbent, there's not a term limit to that office, nor the city council offices. Okay. So they can run as many times they want to. You know, and so whereas the governor is limited through terms, 2 terms. So anyway, the mayor and city council elections are happening again, and those are unlimited terms. So we know running for mayor so far, just based on the signs. Again, I know probably the mayor is going to run again because he's the incumbent. John Hornstein, I saw that. There is Marcus Wallace.
Yes.
There is a Henderson guy. I think
I don't
he's
know him.
military.
I don't know him.
Henderson. I think I saw a Funches sign.
And then I saw on social media that our councilman may run, Mr. Ken Stokes.
I heard that too.
I definitely heard that.
I heard that too. I think I've heard him running before.
He said he may or may not run, depending on what his kids thought about the situation.
Okay. Well, I imagine if my parents, my mom or dad came to me about that, I'd be like, no, sit this one out. But I don't know. That's great that he's even considering what his kids think.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely great.
yeah. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, they're gonna be the ones that are having to deal with a lot of what comes with that, and it could be a lot.
It can be very challenging. We have some great candidates, and just being here, and like you said, just the problems that come with people knowing where you stay at, and things, can be very challenging. I can see.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to work in a mayoral administration, and I can tell you, it's not just it's demanding. It's a lot of wear and tear on the person, but it's demanding of their time, their attention. People always think they can solve everything for them. I remember one time someone asked him about something dealing with the school board or JPS, and it was something that you would go to the superintendent or those school board members about, not the mayor. But at the same time, again, it's highly demanding, but it has its benefits too, right? You get the opportunity to really affect change in the city that you want. You get to place people in certain positions to carry out certain things that's going to impact not just them and their family, or it's going to impact the entire city, the citizens that live here, and a lot of business owners, right? A lot of business owners in Jackson care about who's in the mayor's office, because they are impacted by that.
Yes.
It could be anything from an ordinance until water. Well, I said but to water. And we know how important water is.
we know how important water is in Jackson now.
I mean, we've seen a lot of issues around the whole infrastructure and water system here in the city of Jackson, how that's impacted not just houses, but businesses too. Schools,
everything.
That's correct.
Man, you have a pamphlet here about, since we're talking about election voter information and stuff like that.
Yes, I want to share this because we get this all the time about this I'm gonna talk about, and I got this from Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable.
Yeah, put that in.
Yeah,
the
shout out to them.
Yeah, big shouts to them.
Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable is led by Cassandra Welchland, dynamic team of women and men who really are doing a lot of the hard lifting. Them and other organizations are doing a lot of hard lifting. A lot of even the work I do. I know people tease me about this a lot. I'm like, Theresa, what do you do? I'm like, a lot.
No one
But one of the things I do is around advocacy, right? And a lot of the work that goes on, not even me. I do a very small bit of this work. There's a lot of more people that's been doing this forever and over the years. I want to give them their shout out, their credit, and their justice on this. But I was gonna say was this work. These are people working on people's behalf, and they don't even know it, right? So one of the things that Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable led out, which was very, very important, and again, this was a coalition of people, but they were one of the organizations I'm mentioning, is around it was called something around pregnancy. I can't even think of the name right now.
Oh, wow.
But I know. It was giving women the opportunity to, if they were already on the CHIP program, they could, or they likely would qualify for the CHIP program, which is a federal program that gives medical
assistance,
medical assistance
yes,
to a certain level of income in women. But there was a law passed just a year before around giving them just last year. I'm sorry, I'm thinking two different laws because there were two different things. But just last year that was passed, the law took into effect in July that gave women the prenatal advantages and all the incentives that come with that. So women were applying for these benefits, but they weren't getting approved till like 30, 60 days into their pregnancy, right?
Uh-huh.
And we already know the infant mortality rate here in Mississippi is extremely high, especially among Black women. And so now these women who likely are to qualify for this program can start seeing a doctor as soon as they find that they're pregnant and not have to wait for the approval. And certainly, should they be approved, they'll automatically go into the system and start receiving. I mean, they already would be receiving the benefits, but there's no longer this wait, right? And so that's a huge deal. And they're one of the organizations that led the fight on that. There's the other one bill that was a couple years ago that I was start thinking about, but I couldn't remember what it was, and I still don't remember. It does. It's centered around prenatal. It's centered around care for women as well, and a lot of their work has to do with. I don't want to speak for them, but a lot of their work does center around economic security for Black women. I'll say that.
Okay. Man.
But getting back to what this pamphlet says.
Yeah, correct.
So we know absentee voting. I've voted absentee. Have you?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. Yeah, because you know you're on planes and stuff. So absentee voted.
Always.
Absentee voted is very important. So if you work a job and you're unable to go vote on that day of the election, if you may be dealing with some health challenges, any of those reasons, and there are several reasons, you can find those on the Secretary of State's website. But for whatever reason, you can vote up to 45 days before an election absentee on any election here in Mississippi. Any election at the circuit clerk's office, which is typically at the courthouse.
That's my guy, Zach Wallace.
That's correct.
Big shout out to Zach.
Shout out to Zach. Another thing people should know is you can register to vote 30 days up until the election.
Now that I didn't know.
Yes. So if you've never registered to vote, or you may have been purged from the voter rolls, because now there's a law in Mississippi that says if you have not voted in the last 2 of the 3 presidential elections, they can purge you from the rolls.
Purge you away.
Yes. But this is the thing, though, and this is why it's so important that you check this out. And I think you can find this out at Y'all Vote Mississippi or y'allvotems.org. And you can find out if you are even still active, because there are people that have been purged and they voted. I was talking to this attorney.
What?
Yes.
So their vote didn't count?
No. What I'm saying is they had registered to vote, had voted in all 3 of the last presidential elections, and when they went to go vote some other time, they had found out they had been purged. And so you can do an affidavit ballot. Yes, I know. Yeah, these are tactics from the 60s, y'all. So that when people say people die for the right to vote, and that was like in the 50s and 60s, this stuff is still, people may not be dying, but they're finding a way to disenfranchise folks.
Right.
And oppress people and keep you from voting. Because that's what people gonna do. You get to the poll, you think you're finna vote. Now you got this issue. They're saying, oh, I don't see your name on the voter roll. You're like, I voted here last time. And that's possible too. You may not vote at the same precinct. But that's why we encourage people to check their voting status out beforehand. Election. Yes. So you can register to vote again 30 days into advance. So if you got a 17-year-old that's going to turn 18.
That was great. I was just about to ask you that.
Okay. So if you got a 17-year-old that's going to turn 18 by the election, they can actually register to vote.
Oh, that's great. That's great information right there.
Yes. Another thing is the polls. The polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again.
So what if you're in line? What if you're in line and the polls close at 7 and you're at the end of the line?
If you are in line before 7 p.m., you can vote. So you're in line and it now turns 7:02 p.m. Mm-hmm. You can still vote.
Okay.
So what typically happens is that poll manager is going to come out at 7 p.m.
and get behind.
Yes, they're going to designate who that last person is.
Okay.
And so then you cleared to vote. You now just waiting to vote.
Okay.
And typically local elections are long lines.
Yeah.
So people, again, because people know these folks and they turn out to vote. Okay. So yeah, if you're in line, stay in line.
Please.
And there are states that are really making it hard to vote. And it's on purpose. I'll use Georgia, for example. Everybody want to run to Atlanta, right? And I say Atlanta. I know that's not the only city in Atlanta, but that's the only city everybody knows.
It's the only city in Atlanta.
Right.
In Georgia.
In Georgia. I love it. See what I'm saying? So in Georgia now, though, you can't even give a person water to drink.
Yeah, they were cooking and having DJs out and stuff like that. And I saw during the last election that they cut all that out. Yeah.
Yep. But the good thing about Georgia is they have early voting.
Yeah.
So not absentee. And a lot of people ask why we don't have absentee. Talk to your legislators. Ask them.
Please.
All this stuff is on, I'm going to say it's on purpose. They want to make it hard for people to vote, right? Mm-hmm. And so absentee voting is a way to get around that. But obviously, when you sign that absentee voting, you are actually signing the affidavit. So you're saying that I'm going to be doing this. So most election days, I'm working other campaigns. Correct. So it's not easy for me to always be available to go vote at my precinct. So I'll do absentee, and it's an inconvenience to me to vote absentee because I live in South Madison County, and I voted. The courthouse is in Canton, so I had to drive up to Canton
Oh,
to go
wow.
vote. Yeah. So even people here in Hines County, you live out in Bolton or Edwards, they got to come into Jackson.
Oh, they got to come into the city.
Yeah, I mean, you can do mail in, right?
No one wants to do that though.
No, they don't. But a lot of people do. And
But
that's a whole nother set of dates.
Right. That was a tactic I saw that people they would see those envelopes and they were.
Well, they sit them to the side. They actually don't open them until election day, and they don't open them till the polls close. Typically,
but I saw they were saying people were
legally
pushing them to the side. Not letting them get to the right destination. And stuff like that.
Yes, because it's about being the postmark date. Right. So that is a big thing. I remember I was doing some focus groups in the Southeast region for a client that I worked with last year, and I was in Louisiana, and one of the young ladies that was there was a college student, and she was saying that I was asking her about the challenges in voting, and she was talking about voting absentee from being in college in New Orleans, but living in obviously her home is another place in Louisiana, and she said that her vote. They had told her that she was past the deadline. I mean, her vote didn't count because she mailed it in a day late. And she said that she mailed it in the day of. But the thing is about that postmark date, even if it's, because it could be whatever date it is, whatever that date is. Again, check out the Secretary of State's office website. Whatever that date is, you have to have it postmarked that day. So we encourage you take it into the post office. But more importantly, don't wait to the last minute.
Day, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of like when you pay your bills, if it's postmarked, if it's due on the 6th and it's postmarked the 7th, you're late.
You better do it online.
Yeah. But I'm just saying how our grandparents and stuff used to do things like that. I can remember bills back then.
Yep.
They would have to be postmarked the day of or the day before to count, because if it was after that, you had a late fee.
That's right. Oh yeah, they love a late fee, but unfortunately, we don't have a late fee. Your vote
don't count. Yeah, that's your late fee. It doesn't count.
Right, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Some elections are lost by a few votes.
Only a few.
A few votes.
Yeah.
And so one of the other things I wanted to mention from this pamphlet that I have is about disenfranchisement crimes. So there are 23 crimes in Mississippi. If you committed any one of these, you are not eligible to vote.
Okay.
So
can you mention those?
Yeah, I'm going to mention them but I want to say first, if you did not commit any one of these 23 crimes, you are eligible to vote. Okay. So a lot of people think and even if you serve time, you still can go vote if you didn't commit one of these 23 crimes. So a lot of people think, oh, I've done this, I've been convicted of that and charged this. If it's not one of these 23, you can go vote.
Let's go. I want to hear these.
Okay. So if you have been convicted of a crime that is not listed below, you still hold your right to vote. One is voter fraud.
Okay.
Murder.
Okay.
Rape. Bribery.
Okay.
Theft. Carjacking. Arson. Perjury. Forgery. Embezzlement. Bigamy. Armed robbery. Extortion. Larceny. Felony bad check. Felony shoplifting. Receiving stolen goods. Robbery. Timber larceny. Unlawful taking of motor vehicle. Statutory rape. Larceny under lease or rental agreement. Obtaining money or goods under false pretense. So if you did not commit any one of these crimes, you still hold your right to vote.
Wow, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. That is definitely interesting there.
Yep.
So most of those crimes are felonies, to be exact.
Oh yeah,
big
definitely.
Felony.
Big felony. Yeah, you probably.
So big shouts to the what's that pamphlet again?
This was something that I got from Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable.
Big shouts to those people, man. Hey, ladies, you're doing a great job.
Yes.
So you have other issues that we're going to discuss today?
Yes. Like I said, I've worked a lot of campaigns, and one of the things I hear before I get into the campaigns, because I've talked a little bit about elections too, and I talked about polls. I want to talk about poll workers.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, because if you voted, you probably went to your polls just back in November, and you saw, what was the average age you think poll workers are? What do they look like? Most of them look like
70 plus.
70 plus, and do most of them look like you?
No,
that's correct. Yeah, you see, I won't talk about where you live, but that's correct. Most of them are seniors.
Yes.
And so we have to be mindful that these folks are gonna not always be here, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be old to die, but what I'm saying is these people have probably been working the polls for 20, 30 years anyway. But they started somewhere and they make money. Actually, you can be paid from it. So you can again go to Mississippi Secretary of State's office, website, or their office if you want.
Yeah.
And you can actually register to be a poll worker. So poll workers are paid between $125 to $200 a day. So yes, for 12 hours, you can earn that.
I will not.
When you do fill out this form, they don't guarantee that you'll be selected or hired. But they will, obviously, you go into this pool of folks for poll workers.
Okay.
You can either be just a poll worker, someone who may just take the ID and have the person sign off.
Oh, so it's just not just the person that's sitting there telling you, hey, go here, go there.
Well, I mean, that's poll workers too, but there are also poll managers. But
Okay.
obviously, you may have to work your way up to that
Okay.
till you learn the ropes. But and typically, poll managers are paid more money anyway.
I'm sure.
Yeah, because there's a lot to manage, because they're the ones that are having to do there's a thing called curbside voting too. So they're typically the ones that administer that. They also are managing people. They're making sure they know the laws and all that, mostly. But there's not a lot of young people that do poll work, and they don't think much of that. But I'm encouraging you all, if you got the time, or even you could take a day off your job.
Yeah, you could.
You probably have PTO, or you may just happen to be off that day. You can go work a poll and earn money, and also you're doing something for your community. And we know that people typically show up to vote when somebody else asks them. So if I tell you I'm a poll worker and you ask me about going to hang out, I'm like, man, I'll be at the poll Tuesday or something like that.
Come on by. You vote, and when you get done voting, we can go ahead and leave.
That's right.
We go get a okay. I get
Right.
Hey,
all of that.
Great. That's great. I like that.
So I wanted to mention that. Again, I think you just got to be 18. Well, not think you have to be 18 and up to work the polls. But it's an opportunity for you to gain some valuable experience, information, and really do good for the community. Yeah. I think poll workers are people that do good work overall, with ensuring that your vote is protected and there's some integrity that exists there at the poll.
I like that.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to talk about, because I talked about working campaigns, and one of the things I hear often from young people just a tad bit younger than me, is my vote don't count, or what they love to say is politics don't. I ain't into politics. That's what I hear. I'm not into politics.
Oh, it's not going to affect me.
It's not going to affect me.
My vote not going to help. What's going on.
Yes. And that is so untrue. So
very
untrue. Prime example. This current administration, they about to be out, but the Biden administration, student loans. A lot of us had some portion of our loans forgiven. Oh, you want to be?
Yes.
See what I'm saying? And this next administration, they talking about doing away with a lot of things. So I'm certain that a lot of people felt like, why would y'all have y'all loans forgiven? Y'all work, or y'all chose those loans, or y'all took out those loans. For some people, that's what they needed to get through school, and all of that.
Only way they got into school.
Exactly. And so, but there are a lot of people that have taken out student loans. That student loan debt is real. And for a lot of people, that meant a lot, because I know people that pay $400, $500, $600 a month in student loan debt, right? And so that means a lot to a lot of people. But that's why it matters who's in office. That's why voting matters, because it does impact our lives. I think about childcare. I saw a post the other day about childcare costing $600 a month, and then I was reading through the comments. It was Kev on stage. I think he had on talking about that. But I was reading through the comments. And I got friends pay $1,200 a month for daycare.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Daycare is real.
Real.
Yeah.
I'm like,
daycare is real.
How can people afford that many kids? And that's why a lot of women stay at home, because they really just working to pay for childcare, $1,200 a month.
Yes.
Don't let me have two. That's between that birth, it's 5 before you go off the
I think it's
kindergarten pre-K?
It's 4 or 5.
Okay, 4. In that time span, you had 2 kids. Man, that's $2,400. That's higher than most people mortgages
Yes.
for daycare.
We're talking about daycare.
Listen, my kid gonna be there from the time they open to the time they close. People gonna be like, Theresa don't ever have that kid. Like, yeah, he had daycare.
Yeah.
I pay for that.
Yeah, 1,200.
Okay, even holidays, they still gotta pay that
Yep.
fee. So
Well, I do know. I know that because my son went to private school up until this year, and even during summer months, you pay.
really,
Yes.
do they go to school?
No.
They go to summer school?
No. Oh, if you go to summer school, you got to pay for that as well.
Oh no, oh that's additional.
Yes.
Oh, heck no.
Yes. So childcare is real.
Listen, I and that's important. That's an issue for a lot of people, not just women.
Yeah.
Men too.
Yeah, I'm a single parent.
Yeah, and so imagine that amount of money going out the household. But what I wanted to say about the whole child care thing though is in Mississippi, what is the federal program? There's money through TANF that comes down from the federal government to Mississippi that allows vouchers, so women can apply.
And men.
And men can apply for a child care voucher. And obviously you have to fit a certain income for this, but it just helpful to those men and women would get into work. Because child care, obviously, if you don't have anyone to watch your kid, you can't go to work. Yeah, because you can't bring them to work.
You can't bring them to work.
Can't bring them to work. And so it's so important that we care about that. And even the pandemic really took a strain on it, because even like a place like Mississippi Delta, right? Even around here, I've heard people say, you want to put your kid in a certain daycare. You also want to know that there's one nearby.
Definitely
you don't want to have to drive. There's some people in the Delta that drive 30, 45 minutes one way for childcare. And I still got to get to work after I do all that.
Work. And they don't open till like 7. Well, 6 probably.
Listen, I don't know what time they open, but mine gonna be there at 5:55. I'm like, Miss Kennedy, yep, we here, and they close at 6.
Bye. See you later.
I be coming through the door at 5:58. 12 to 12. Yep, you good, baby? You all right? Mama love you. But anyway, child care and even healthcare too. That's a big one. But anyway, young people, y'all gotta understand that these folks are making decisions about your everyday life. And maybe you don't fall into that, right? Maybe you don't have a child. Maybe you can afford child care, you and your husband, or even you alone can afford child care. But you know somebody else that's maybe struggling, right? And for me, I don't always just think about me in my situation. I think about my cousins. I think about people I don't know. I think about women that maybe a server in a restaurant with the tip wages. You know, in Mississippi, we still have a $2.13 minimum wage for tip workers. Yes.
Man.
Yes. There are a lot of organizations fighting to increase that up to what the federal minimum wage is.
What is that?
The federal minimum wage?
Yeah.
$7.25? I think $7.25.
For the waitresses?
No, that's just the minimum wage period for any worker outside of a tip worker.
How much?
So tip workers are like valet workers, servers in restaurants. What is another job where you typically? I would use those two as best examples.
What is minimum wage right now?
$7.25.
Man, you can't live in New York City on $7.25.
So
you can't live in Jackson for $7.25.
So this is the thing, though. So I'm speaking to Mississippi. So $7.25 is the federal minimum wage.
Okay.
A state has the ability to adopt their own minimum wage.
Okay.
They just can't go below the federal.
Okay. So what is it here in the capital city?
It's still the whole state of Mississippi is $7.25. Now there is legislation being proposed federally. It had been, and it probably won't never pass now with this current administration. But that's what I'm saying. This stuff matters. But there have been people. There are people that still gonna be pushing for it, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Advocating for this every single day. Again, there are people working on your behalf, and you don't even know it. But there are people that are pushing for $17 an hour. They're saying that $17 an hour will give you a livable wage.
Man, the inflation is. Have you tried to buy eggs lately?
Yes.
A loaf of bread.
I bought some cheeses the other day, and I was like, I must haven't bought cheeses in a while.
I got something better. I bought some ginger snaps. $7.25.
Wait, you bought them at Sam's?
No, I bought them at Kroger.
You bought the family size?
No.
Oh.
No, just the regular common box.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought twice about them cheeses, but I went ahead and got them. But,
Yeah. Have 'em.
yeah, nah, I just want them then. I ain't ate them. They've been in the cabinet about 2 weeks now.
Well, I ain't gonna even lie, them ginger snaps getting it.
they
But
snapping.
look, one at a time. we're gonna stretch these out.
So you gotta sit there and talk to yourself. But again, young people, and when I say young people, I'm mostly talking 18 to 30-year-olds.
Correct.
We know that, again, I hear in the street from these young folks about elections policy not impacting them, or politics, but to the root of that is policy. And so, and I want to highlight this, although this not quite local elections, but statewide elections. So statewide is also legislative elections too. It happens all at the same time. So on Tuesday is when our session starts. The legislative session starts. So legislators, the governor, lieutenant governor will all be at the Capitol for the next 90 days, starting on Tuesday. And they will be pushing laws, probably repealing some stuff. They're going to be also...
So a lot of lobbyists and people are going to be here in the city.
A lot of advocacy groups, a lot of advocates like me, a lot of lobbyists like me are going to be at the Capitol in the city. It's going to
be cold, though.
It's going to be cold, but they're going to be there.
Okay.
They're going to be there. That's the first day at 12 o'clock. And you know what? The good thing about it is...
Can the general public
yes,
come by?
We encourage you to go by. Your tax dollars pay for that Capitol. And so a lot of legislators you talk to, they'll say this is the people's house. And rightfully so. You can go there. Yeah. You can go there. Make sure you don't have any firearms on you. But
police is real.
They are real. CCID is real. So so you can go to the Capitol any day that they're meeting. They're in session. And they don't even have to be in session. You can go to the Capitol any day. I mean, they're gonna lock stuff down. There's a lot of security up there, so it's good. But you can go up there at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, or you can go 12 o'clock or 4 o'clock the next day, whatever time. But I want to encourage everyone to go check it out at least one time this session, y'all. Your face really make a difference. When they see you, they wonder what you're there for, right? Especially if they've never seen you before. They know the familiar folks. They know what they're there for. But when they see the folks they've never seen before there,
me,
you should go. Do you right around the corner?
Well,
y'all should take a field trip. Where Quasi at?
You know what? I'm gonna
text Quasi.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I encourage you to go. Just sit up in the gallery. So you got the Senate side, the House side. You can sit up in the gallery at any up there. You can send a message to your state legislator, whether you voted for him or not. I live in Madison County. So my state legislator, though, my state rep, he represents Hinds and Madison County.
Okay.
My senator represents Hinds and Madison County, too. He's running for mayor. So maybe we'll have a new senator. Who knows? I don't know.
Okay.
But my point is, even if you voted for the people or not, they should know you there. And they should know you're one
should welcome you.
Yes. And then that you're one of their constituents, right?
Yes.
You still represent me regardless. And then these folks are voting on stuff that impact not just the area you live in. They're voting on things that all across the state, things that impact this entire state and all the citizens of this state. So, send them a message, say hello from your constituent from District XYZ. And if you don't know, you can always Google who your people are. Yeah. Most people don't know most people don't know who represent them.
So how do you find out who represents you? Is that a way you can just Google your street, your county, or how do you do that?
It's several ways. Mostly all online.
What's the most common way though?
I just Google it.
Okay.
I would just Google it. You can go to, again, y'all vote ms.org. You can find it there. Or Secretary of State's office, you can find it. You can also just Google who is my state representative in zip code XYZ. Now it's probably gonna because the lines are so oddly drawn. Mm-hmm. You probably see 2 or 3 people show up, but you'll know it should be a map that shows you where exactly what their area covers specifically, and so you can be able to figure out who it is. But that's important to know. They all got social media. I encourage you to follow them.
Yeah, they definitely have social media.
On social media. I at them all the time. I don't even live in some of these folks' district, but I let them know I see them. Hey,
I see you.
And these folks are voting for things that really really matter to you or somebody else.
And us and our future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have aging parents. And so I care about what happened to seniors.
Definitely.
I know you do too.
Yes.
I mean, some of us got grannies and they got fixed incomes, and I wouldn't share my grandmama or my mama whenever something go wrong health wise.
She's okay.
She can be seen. And, you talk about the area like Mississippi Delta. If our governor would expand, Medicaid expansion is a big one, right? And that's one that we hear about every single year. Last year, probably the closest we got to seeing some legislation passed around Medicaid expansion. And Medicaid expansion is going to bring about a lot of things in Mississippi. But one of the things that is so important is you got a lot of hospitals that have closed. A lot of hospitals that have reduced their services. And then we get into ambulatory, I can't even say it, the ambulances. So it take an ambulance at least in Mississippi Delta, I'm told, 45 minutes sometime to even show up to a person's house.
So who?
45 minutes. An ambulance. The people that come see about you.
How long?
45 minutes, I've been told.
Well, and
I was meeting with a group of women up in Indianola, and she brought this up about how long it would take for an ambulance to come.
If you're in a rural area.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
And then when I talked about reduction in services, in Greenville, Mississippi, there used to be a NICU unit, which is infant.
At King's Daughters?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's gone away. So Medicaid expansion would provide the money for them to afford that.
Bring those programs back.
Yes. Offer those services to moms and families who may have a child that's needing that. So this mom has a baby, right? And this child is premature or is born with some birth defect or something like that. And they now have to be in the NICU unit. This is the infant ICU.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not available anymore in the Mississippi Delta. So now mom's child has to be sent to Jackson, Memphis or Jackson.
Wow.
Memphis or Jackson. So can you imagine that family, that mom, that family having
that cost?
The cost of that, but not only that, not even the monetary cost, the emotional cost.
I was getting at that.
And the mental cost.
Yeah.
So I done had a baby. My baby now is in this needing these high specialized services, and my baby is in Jackson, an hour and a half away.
And I'm not there.
I'm not there every day. Not only that, if I go there to see my child, where I'm going to stay. So it's a lot of factors that go into this, a lot of things around this. And so that's why we talk about these folks voting on things that impact your everyday life. And hey, you may not be having a baby, don't know nobody having a baby, all these folks.
But think about the people around you.
People around you, right.
Your neighbor, your cousins,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so much more. So that's just around healthcare. We talked about a little bit about childcare. You brought up Capitol Police, right?
Yes.
Capitol Police, now their jurisdiction has expanded. And I get it. Some people are very happy about it because they said, the response time has now been reduced down on having a police show up at their house should something happen. But there's also been a bad side to it too. And there's some families that are dealing with a lot around Capitol Police. But one of the things that people, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but is the judicial component. So it did go all up to Supreme Court. They did shoot it down. They shot down the circuit side of having a judge. So what they were trying to do, they proposed legislation last year that would give give a judge in this district jurisdiction over this district. So their area, I get a ticket, I gotta go see. Now, this part is true though. On the chancery side, I do have to go see their judge now. Should I get a ticket out? So you don't, to my knowledge, you don't go to a city judge now or whatever the case. You don't go.
So there's only one judge.
Well, no. Those still exist because the area doesn't cover all of Jackson. It's just certain parts. And so now there is a judge, though, that is not elected. And that's the issue that a lot of people took with it because everyone else is elected.
So you just appoint anybody?
Oh, yeah, the governor going to get to appoint this person. And they don't even have to live in Hinds County. Yeah, they don't even have to live here to do the work here.
Oh, he can be from Water Valley.
He could be from Water Valley. Don't know nothing about none your folks, your anything.
Oh, you in trouble.
In trouble.
Oh.
In trouble. And so, again, who you voting does matter.
Voting definitely does matter.
Yeah. So I got the opportunity not long ago to work with two research organizations around voter engagement, and the work that we were doing was very monumental. And some of this work has already been going through, but we were kind of on a fast track with getting it done. And the first org that I worked with, it was mostly centered around voter registration, but we also were trying to find out what would people respond to when we mentioned reproductive justice or we mentioned Democrats. Because what happened with our last gubernatorial election, and when I say gubernatorial, I mean governor elections, what happened was you had Tate Reeves, who was the incumbent, and then he was running against Brandon Presley.
Yeah, Elvis' cousin.
Yes,
I was
him.
waiting on that.
Yeah, him. But Brandon Presley came close. He's come the closest in 2 decades.
Yes.
That's 20 years in winning that seat. And it caught the attention of a lot of people outside of Mississippi. And so the other thing we know about elections too is a lot of money coming to the state for elections too, especially a big election like that. A lot of money did come into the state. But typically what happens is the money comes in late. It come in
How
late.
so?
So I'm saying like a November election, 4 to 6 weeks out from an election, now they want to dump money into Mississippi to help turn out the vote. But if it had been work that's going all year long,
Okay.
all that engagement to that level, is happening all year long, and money being really better utilized to ensure that the vote turned out on again, not in 4 to 6 weeks before election, but just all year long. It probably could have made a huge difference. So that's something a lot of people are considering. A lot of people are talking about. Is at the forefront of a lot of conversations, a lot of organizations outside of Mississippi, because this org wasn't here based in Mississippi. The second org that I got a chance to work with was about GOTV. It was about turning out the vote. So it was voter engagement mostly. And so what we were doing was we were sending relational postcards. It's called site-based relational postcards. What their research has proven that if a person asks you to vote, you're more likely to go vote. So I was saying earlier, if I remind you about voting, you're more likely to go vote. Even if it crossed your mind, but we all got stuff going on. We forget the election is that day. We forget. We think these signs is out here for whatever reason, but not because there's an election coming up. And some of them been out there so long, you really just start to ignore them. So you drove past them a million times, and now you don't even see it anymore. So my point to that is what we were doing, the work that we were doing, we were able to touch, and we totally exceeded our goal. But this was just 9 days. 13-day project I had.
Okay.
So 13-day project. We worked every single day for 6 hours a day. Well, I worked more than that because I was managing these folks, these canvassers. But they were out there on the street 6 days a week. 7 days a week, 6 hours each day. And what they were doing was connecting with, they may saw you, DJ Kool-Aid, and they incentivized you with something. I don't know. We were targeting certain areas too. I have to be frank about that. We were targeting certain parts of Jackson intentionally. But we're also doing this at Mississippi State. We were doing this down there in Hattiesburg. And I even got the opportunity for one day. I wish I got more than one day, but I got a chance to get down to Alcorn during that 13-day period. And we crushed the numbers down to Alcorn. Actually, Alcorn group, shout out to them, was what put us over our goal, help exceed our goal. But what we were doing was I met you. I'm the canvasser. I see you on the street. I incentivize you in some way, not to vote. I incentivize you to stop and talk to me. And so from that, the incentives were a number of things. It was, and y'all, this stuff mattered to people. Chick-fil-A, nope. Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Yeah.
We were giving away Starbucks gift cards, Dollar General gift cards.
Okay.
Gas cards. Listen, Dollar General, I ain't gonna talk about them people. They were giving us a hard time though. After a while, they thought we were doing some illegal stuff. We legitimately buying these cards from you to go give them away. But anyway, so we had those kind of cards. We had candy, chips, Starbucks drinks, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, that was nice.
Incentivizing people for you stopping and talking to me.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
just to engage with me for a second.
Yep, for a second. I'm probably gonna take 10 minutes of your time. So now I'm asking you to give me 5 names, up to 10, 5 names of people you want to send a postcard to. So once you can send it to one, me taking your picture, and then 2, sending the postcard to these 5 people.
So now you're getting an email, you're getting a physical address.
Nope.
You didn't do that. Okay.
I don't even need all that from you. So our app was connected to the voter roll.
Okay.
Here in Mississippi, which is available to a lot of organizations. It's called the van. A lot of folks that work campaigns know about the van.
Okay.
And so the van was embedded in our app. So when you said, I typed up Theresa and I typed up, I didn't even know how to spell. They didn't even know how to spell my name right, but they can just put in T Kennedy. Obviously, a lot of T. Whoever first name start with a T, and Kennedy that's registered to vote is going to show up on this roll. They may say, well, her name Theresa. So now you scrolling and seeing T-E or T-H. And then like, oh, no, she spelled her name with H. So now they see Theresa Kennedy. They go right to me.
Process of elimination.
Yep.
Right to
Click on my name. That's 1. And so we did that. Like I said, we got them to give us at least 5. But and so from that, though, these people, you were considered a mobilizer. So
I like that.
Yeah. And so in 13 days, we were able to touch 1,500 people in 13 days. So imagine I did that or I had people working 5 days a week, every week for a whole year. How many people we could touch?
That would be crazy.
So people were receiving a postcard with your picture on it saying, Kool-Aid wants you to vote. Yep.
From somebody they know.
From somebody they know. They were like, what? Man, look at this. But then you as the mobilizer, you got a text message that reminded you to vote. So you got the text. You probably likely remember the 5 people that you
mentioned.
That's right. It become kind of funny though, because one time I went out with some of our canvassers just to see how it was. I want to see what their experience is like. So when they talking about it, and it was a short time frame too. So we really were trying to knock out some numbers. This one lady gave me her ex-boyfriend. Listen, DJ Kool-Aid, she called me. She found me on Facebook and sent me a message. I just happened to be checking, because if we're not friends,
right.
Your messages go to a different group.
Right, go to a different group.
So I just happened to be checking it one day, and I saw it. I was like 2 or 3 days later, really. I was checking it, but it was the next day she sent it. The lady was like, "Hey, I think I ran into you on the street at this event that I went to." She was like, "Yeah, that one name. Can you take him off?" And I was like, "Ma'am, it don't work like that. Like it goes once it's in the system.
It's gone.
This is rolling. Like this thing rolling because we gotta get these postcards out by a certain date.
So what happened?
To scroll through all these names, and this was happening in 2 other states. Like, ma'am,
in real time.
In real time, like I ain't gonna do that. And I told her that. So I guess ex-boyfriend received. Lord, I hope wasn't nobody else there.
Man at the man's house. Oh,
at the man's house.
Oh, that could have been tragic.
Oh, it really could have been. I think that's why she was trying to get that done. Like, yeah, you petty that day. Now you don't want to be petty no more.
Now we touched a lot of topics today. In closing, just kind of just go over what we went through, and man, just your experiences and stuff like that. Just kind of close out with me.
So we talked a lot. You're right. So we got local elections going on.
Yes.
So if there are people who know someone or them themselves may feel like they want to run for office, city council, mayor.
Can you be a felon? Hey.
I guess, the president, right? You look at the president.
It's a real question.
Right. The president's a felon. I honestly don't know. I don't think you can in Mississippi. But go on down there and see. But you might want to check that on Secretary of State's office before you get down there and do all that, because you don't want to do that.
But it's a real question.
It is a real question. I'd say yes. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know that.
I'm gonna look into that.
That's a good question. I really don't know that. No one's ever asked me that. But it has come up, obviously, because of who the president is, or about to be the president, I guess. He's a felon. But more than anything, so I just want people to recognize why it's important to vote. Your vote really does shape your future. Things around education, housing, that's a big deal. Healthcare, climate change, that's real.
Climate change is real.
It's very real. I mean, cause
very real.
It's like hot one day and cold the next day.
It's gonna be 75 tomorrow and gonna be 28 on Monday.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's wild. That's really wild. Um, but your voice really does shape your future, which your voice again is your vote. These decisions that are made by these elected folks do impact you every single day. Another thing I want people to understand is um, showing up to vote is not just about you. It's about all. It's about more than that. It's about your family. It's about your neighbors, your community, all those things. And then the last thing I want them to know is your vote has power. You all, they wouldn't have all these hoops to jump in. Folks wouldn't have to go through all these doors to vote if it wasn't that important. It's a reason why all these things exist. And so I hope that you find a reason to participate in your right as an American citizen here. And if you have more questions about this, you can always reach out to me on social media at 5520 on IG.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, 5520. A lot of folks ask me where you get that from. It's the interstate. They connected. I'm connected. So,
Hey.
that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can reach out to me on 5520. If you have more questions, you also can just check out the Secretary of State's office website. And you can find out a lot of valuable information. A lot of things I said today is on that website.
And I'm gonna get those websites from you, and I'm gonna actually embed them in the podcast so they'll go across the screen so people that's watching it they can actually see where to go and vote for those. Get information about voting and any other thing that we talked about.
That's awesome.
Man, in closing, man, I thank everybody for checking us out today. I go by the name DJ Kool-Aid. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at I am DJ Kool-Aid and check out In Granny's Garage on YouTube. This episode will be number 4. Thank you guys again. Theresa, thank you, and we're out.